So if you clicked on this video, you are no doubt very interested in either the SCUF Valor Pro or the Razer Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition, two Xbox Pro controllers which I've reviewed recently on my channel. They both have 4 programmable back buttons, Hall effect thumbsticks and instant triggers, while they do both offer some other exclusive features which set them apart from each other. But which is better, and which indeed should you consider picking up? Well, in today's video, I aim to help you decide. To do this, we will be comparing and contrasting both controllers in 4 review categories, talking pros and cons in each, all before tallying up the scores and giving my overall thoughts at the end. Sound good? Well, let's get into it. So as I mentioned, we will be comparing these gamepads in 4 categories, starting with the price, helping us decide which is the better package. Secondly, the design and key features, where we will be checking out all the main attributes each controller offers us. Thirdly, customization, touching on anything cosmetic we can customize as well as anything that can affect gameplay. And then finally, the playtest. How are they under use? But of course, feel free to skip forward to any area you find most interesting. Beginning with the price point, and in the UK, the SCUF Valor Pro will set you back around £100. The US $100 and in the EU €110. In the Tournament Edition's case, it costs around £100 in the UK, the US $100 and in the EU €120 respectively. So largely the same price, and it's clear to see that these two controllers are very much targeting the same section of the market. But what do we actually get for our money? Well, with the SCUF we get the controller, a USB cable which is very important as both of these controllers are wired, 2 extra thumbsticks, 2 plastic plates to blank off the inner buttons, and that's pretty much it. When it comes to the Razer, again we get the controller, the USB cable, and other than some stickers and the user manual, that's it. So in this area we can hardly call either a great deal overall, but because of the identical price point and the fact that the SCUF does come with a couple extra attachments, we have to give this section to the Valor. But there is more to choosing a controller than just the price point. Let's get into the design and key features. Beginning with the general design, and in the main they are very similar. Both are wired controllers for Xbox and PC, and as such they both sport a familiar Xbox layout. Same button layout and offset thumbsticks. The form factor of each is pretty different however. The Razer has shorter stubbier grips with a larger front face, which helps to feel closer to the buttons in my opinion. While the Valor has more pronounced side grips, which I feel help it feel more secure in hand. Adding to this, the SCUF also touts these awesome rubberized grips, which probably will wear with time, but do make the controller feel that bit more premium compared to the textured grips on the Wolverine, which will be more hard wearing, but not quite as nice a finish. Moving on to the features, and we again have a very similar offering. They both have an instant hair trigger setting, they both have customizable profiles, and they both have 4 back paddles, which we will touch on a little bit later on the video, but for now, they both work well, but are implemented pretty differently, with the SCUF paddles feeling more natural to use one finger to operate 2 of the buttons, while the placement of the paddles on the Wolverine make it feel more natural to place a finger on each paddle separately. So while they are similar, they do have a couple controller exclusive features which we can check out. Starting with the Valor, and as you've probably noticed, it has 2 dials at the bottom of the gamepad, which lets us control our headset volume and chat mix straight from the controller itself. While the Wolverine comes with 2 extra shoulder buttons, which just like the back paddles can be bound to extra functions, like weapon swapping or pinging of an enemy. Back to the Valor, and SCUF has made special mention of the bumpers, which wrap further around the side of the gamepad, allowing for easier flow between triggers and bumpers. Now I will say, until I got used to them, I did find myself from time to time accidentally pressing the bumpers, which is obviously frustrating, but after a while I had no issue. While SCUF looked to improve the bumpers, Razer looked to make improvements on the D-pad. And in my opinion, they have, with this almost disc-like D-pad, which kinda feels like a massive third thumbstick in some ways. It's unique, and I feel it works well. Touching on the triggers, and I am a fan of both. Implemented alike, each are responsive and satisfying under use. In this section, we have had another tight one. Both controllers offer largely the same attributes. Some things are more refined on one, like the rubber side grips on the Valor Pro, while they do both offer some things that the other can, like the 2 additional shoulder buttons on the Wolverine V3. And because of this feature, I've given this section to the Wolverine. It's a standout feature which opens up many different possibilities in game. But anyway, enough with the design. Let's move on to our third comparison section. And let's move on to the customization. Now, as mentioned earlier, both of these controllers offer customizable profiles, allowing us to set up different button configurations for different games or for a second user of the gamepad. On the SCUF, this is carried out by using a series of button presses to bind your buttons. While on the Wolverine V3, this can be carried out by using the companion app for Xbox and PC. For me, this is the better implementation as it gives us so many more customization options, especially when it comes to our dead zones. The Razer also has these two extra shoulder buttons, so we do have a bit more customization there. When it comes to aesthetic customization, there is a clear frontrunner. While the Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition doesn't offer us anything here, the SCUF Valor Pro allows us to swap out the look of the controller thanks to the removable faceplates. We do have to purchase the faceplates separately, which is a bit of a drag, but it is an option. Also, thanks to the extra set of thumbsticks, we can swap them out, just like so, mixing and matching until we find what suits us best. So in this section, despite the SCUF having the clearly better cosmetic customization, because of the companion app available for the Wolverine, which lets us really fine-tune the controller to a greater degree, I feel it's fair to call this area a draw. However, now it's time to move on to perhaps the most important section of this video, the playtest, and talk about how they compare under use. Starting with how they feel in hand, and in general they both fit well. I have no problem with the size of either, although because of the smaller grips on the Wolverine, I'd say those with larger hands may find it a bit more uncomfortable compared to the bigger ones on the Valor. I find the Valor to be the more comfortable of the two, but it isn't like I find the Wolverine uncomfy. The SCUF just feels a bit better. As mentioned, the triggers on both are superb, and are practically identical, and the same can be said concerning the Hall effect thumbsticks. I didn't notice any real difference between the pair, although the Razer does offer greater fine tuning. Where I did notice a difference is with the back buttons or paddles. On the SCUF, your middle finger sits neatly in between the top buttons and the bottom, and you just flick up to hit the top ones, or down to hit the bottom. Whereas on the Razer, they are positioned further down the rear of the controller. This means that you can't help but have your middle finger on the top paddles and your ring fingers on the lower two. Firstly, I feel this is a great idea, as in my opinion it makes it feel more natural, to me anyway, to hit the lower buttons this way. While on the SCUF, I need to sort of remind myself that the extra buttons are there. But it does come with a bit of a drawback, as because of this lower placement, you can be prone to accidental button presses in them hectic moments, which really sucks. Although as with anything, once you get used to the placement, this should stop happening. Touching on the bumpers, and on the Razer they are nothing to write home about. Well, other than the extra shoulder buttons we talked about earlier. But the ones in the Valor are definitely unique, feel great and can be actuated from practically any angle with minimal effort. Now, as you can probably guess, this can also lead to accidentally hitting your bumpers. But just like the paddles on the Razer, once you get familiar with the gamepad, you quickly learn what you can get away with. Not a big deal, but I felt we should quickly mention the face buttons. Razer has opted for clicky micro switch buttons, while SCUF have gone for membrane buttons that you will be familiar with from standard gamepads. Under use, neither is head and shoulders above each other when it comes to performance. The 1000Hz polling rate makes them feel snappy, but you should keep in mind that this is only possible on PC and is not available on Xbox, unfortunately. For me, it's clear to see that these are both targeting the competitive gamer looking for a premium controller, with all that entails, but also comes in at a cheaper price point, and I feel they largely both achieve this. In my opinion, in general play, the SCUF Valor Pro feels that little bit more premium, thanks to the rubber side grips, unique bumpers, and it does seem a bit more robust. But the Wolverine Tournament Edition does have a couple things that I much prefer, namely the clicky face buttons, the shoulder buttons, and for my hands, a superior back button placement. Now this is mostly personal preference, but for me, I give this section to the Wolverine. So there we have it, 4 sections compared, but who takes it? Well, for the price and which is the better package, I've gone for the SCUF Valor Pro. It was tight, but it just comes with more for the same price. For design and key features, we had another tight one, And despite some impressive exclusive features like the improved bumpers on the Valor as well as the headset volume controls, I have to give this point to the Razer. The extra shoulder buttons were a game changer for me, and if I'm being honest, I find them more useful than the lower two back buttons on either of these gamepads. For customization, I had to call it a draw. Yes, the Wolverine does allow for much greater fine tuning, but the Valor does have the ability to change the look and feel of the controller by swapping the thumbsticks as well as the faceplate. So 1 point each here. And then finally, for which feels better under use. Largely they are identical, and it really will come down to personal preference on which you deem to be better here. As mentioned, the Valor is probably the more premium feeling controller. It's comfier, has pretty much the same features, and does everything well. I know I'm a little biased, but the shoulder buttons on the Razer are something I didn't know I wanted until I had them, and something I no longer want to do without. So here, I've given it to the Wolverine V3 Tournament Edition. So all tallied up and the Razer takes it 3-2. So that's the one you should get, right? Well, as mentioned, a lot of it will come down to personal preference. If the extra shoulder buttons don't seem like something that you would find important, and you have some more interest in perhaps the volume controls on the SCUF as well as the bumpers, then you won't be making a mistake if you decide to pick that one up instead. Now, if you would like to see a more dedicated review video for either one of these controllers, I'll leave a link right here to both of them so you can check out if you are still undecided. But before we go, remember to let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and also remember to hit that like button. It would be really, really appreciated. Oh, and of course, consider subscribing to see more videos just like this one. But anyway, guys, that's the video. Thanks so much for watching, and until the next time, I'll catch us.